What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone's starting the day with sunshine. If not, hopefully the weather improves for you soon. It's time now for the Thursday edition of the Climate Update for Thursday, July 20th, 2023. Taking a look at the national satellite picture, you'll see multiple things are going on this morning. First off, we got a low that's ongoing over the Great Lakes. That's going to provide severe weather for a large portion of the Ohio Valley, even into Pennsylvania. And then we have this cluster of thunderstorms over Missouri that we are watching, which could renew some flooding threats for western Kentucky. And we also have this system in the high plains, which also will bring severe weather for today. National Hazards Map shows we have flash flood watches up again across portions of the Northeast because of this low which is going to be coming through. There could be some flash flooding with that. We also have flash flooding ongoing now in portions of Tennessee, and we do have a flash flood watch out for portions of Kentucky, Missouri, and southern Illinois. And then there are also flash flood watches today for western Kansas and portions of Colorado. So a lot of things going on today. I will walk you through all of it. Taking a look here at the radar picture, you can see across eastern Tennessee there are ongoing thunderstorms. There's another complex of thunderstorms that's just west of Kentucky in Missouri right now. Questions as to whether or not that's actually going to keep going or fall apart. The models have been doing a terrible job with this. And here's the system that's over the Great Lakes. You can see it is some rain this morning in Denver, so that's something we'll have to watch. And check this out. I just want to show you one record. There's many records. I'm just going to show you one of them. Record Event Report. National Weather Service in Duluth, Minnesota. A record daily maximum snowfall set at Duluth yesterday. Now you're probably thinking, wait a second, snowfall? What do you mean snowfall? It's July. Well, what happened yesterday was there was actually a trace of snowfall because they sometimes count hail as snowfall. So this beats the previous record, which was 0.0. There never was a trace of snowfall on this day. So hail, if enough of it falls, I guess they do count it as snowfall sometimes. So I found that rather interesting. Let's take a look at air quality for today. And you can see across the country, not as bad. You can see the southeast, you do have some orange areas, but overall not too bad. The worst in the east would be in the mid-Atlantic. You do have some near moderate air quality concerns for today. You do have California and Oregon. There was a big fire yesterday I found about in Oregon, and it was old Kmart apparently burned down, so that caused air quality issues. And the rest of the country, just a couple bad concerns over the Great Lakes. And up in Canada, of course it's not showing it at the moment, but where the wildfires are in Canada, the air quality is still bad. There it goes, it came up now. And you can see here, there are still some extremely bad air qualities there, and that's going to continue as long as the fires are ongoing. Storm Prediction Center. We do now have two enhanced areas. The one over the Great Lakes literally just got added a few minutes ago. It stretches from eastern Indiana, Detroit up in Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you live in those areas, you should be especially cautious today. And there is a tornado threat with this as well. And look out into the west in the high plains. Yes, there's a tornado threat and enhanced risk there as well. Right now it's just 2% tornado in the Ohio Valley, but it would not surprise me to see a few tornado warnings there today. Wind threat is a bigger threat in both enhanced risk areas, and you can see out here just north of Texas, across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and portions of Colorado, 30% for wind and hatch there. There could be wind gusts as high as 60 to 75 miles per hour or greater. Same deal goes with here in the Ohio Valley and in Pennsylvania. 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts possible. And look at this. You even have a hatched area of hail, 30% across Toledo, Ohio, even up in Detroit. So that's something we'll have to watch as well today. Big risk for hail there. There's also a 15% hatched area across portions of Colorado today. Day 2, there is another severe weather threat, and it's a marginal risk. Right here in the mid-Atlantic, and some of that could be ongoing thunderstorms from what sets up this evening into tonight, and there could also be renewed thunderstorm. And I'm going to show you on the models. They try and develop a secondary low. Should that happen, there could be a tornado threat. And you can see there is 2% tornado probability, so that's something we're going to have to watch. If anywhere gets upgraded to a slight risk for tomorrow, it would likely be this area right here across southeast Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and down in through Virginia and Delaware. Taking a look at the rest of the country, there are a few other marginal risk areas. And day 3, just a big marginal risk in the south. We talked about that yesterday. That could get upgraded to a slight risk in time. There are indications there could be a few severe storms there. Taking a look at the day 1 excessive rainfall outlook, you can see there is a moderate risk of excessive rainfall across portions of Kansas and Colorado. Flash flooding is possible there. Flash flooding is also possible all along this slight risk area, which extends all the way to North Carolina. And flash flooding is also possible across portions of Pennsylvania and New York State. Continuing on now, we want to take a look at what's going on with Tropical Storm Don. Tropical Storm Don does still exist. As expected, it went up to 50-mile-per-hour winds. It still is no threat whatsoever to land at this time. So it's not something that we're terribly concerned about. And eventually it's going to go back to subtropical storm and then a subtropical depression before eventually it'll finally just dissipate. Here it is out here. You can see it's a little bit better organized this morning, but nothing terribly concerning. You can see also on this, there's our cluster of thunderstorms that's ongoing over Missouri. There's the one over Tennessee. And look what's out here in the Atlantic, this system that came out here. Not expected to do anything, but that's the system that went off the coast yesterday. You may have seen on the news, Raleigh yesterday, actually, I believe it's being called now an EF3 tornado. Heavy damage to a Pfizer plant, and a few other homes got damaged. I mean, remember yesterday when we were on doing this video yesterday, we said, wow, look at the tornado warning there that popped up. Yes, that was the storm, or at least I believe that was the storm that did it yesterday. So there was a surprise tornado threat, which makes it worthwhile going back to the Storm Prediction Center for a second. And just because there's only 2% probability tomorrow morning here in the Mid-Atlantic doesn't mean it can't turn into a tornado outbreak all of a sudden. It just happens at random sometimes. Sometimes these smaller setups do produce. Alright, let's take a look at the 3 km NAM. And I want to show you here, we do have these thunderstorms which are ongoing in Tennessee. Another cluster could get going this afternoon. And then, of course, we're going to have to watch the West Coast and the Ohio Valley. You can see out here in the west, I shouldn't say West Coast, I should say the plains. You can see out here in the plains, thunderstorms do get going. And it could form into an MCS. It's trying to show that here on the 3 km NAM. Then when we take a look at the Ohio Valley, you can see here a QLCS does try to get going. There are clusters of thunderstorms ahead of that, and we'll have to see how far east this gets going. The 3 km NAM kind of has it breaking up when it gets to southeast Pennsylvania. And incidentally, at that same time, this is now Friday morning, look at this, back across portions of Kansas. Yeah, that's a pretty strong MCS signal right there. But I want to show you this. This is really interesting. So we'll have ongoing showers and thunderstorms tomorrow morning up in the northeast and in southeast Pennsylvania. The 3 km NAM tries to get a low going. You can see it right here. Should that happen, there would be a little bit of rotation in the atmosphere. And these storms that you see pop up, any one of them could contain rotation, and there could be a tornado threat. Even up here in New York City metro area. Look at these clusters. That's where we have been seeing our tornado warnings lately. These clusters like this that get going on these mesoscale lows. So it's something to keep an eye on tomorrow morning. It's a wild card for the event, one that I am actually very concerned about. And let's take a look at precipitation amounts, shall we? And you can see here, you get localized very high precipitation amounts. I'm not saying the lower Hudson Valley, right here where I'm pointing at, is where it's going to set up. But if it does set up somewhere, you could get a quick 3 to 6 inches rainfall, which, you know, causes washouts, flash flooding, and all kinds of problems. So something to look at going forward into tomorrow morning. Something to keep an eye on. Somewhere, wherever that low should set up. If it does, it's possible it may not set up. If it does, it's something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at the 6C GFS. You can see here, there's that MCS that sets up out in the plains. It doesn't get going too far. It just provides, yet again, the energy from that provides another flash flood threat for Tennessee. It's just incredible how it just keeps happening. And let's go into Saturday. You can see there is that marginal risk of severe weather that's up here in the south. That could get upgraded to a slight risk. There could be a wind threat with that. But more importantly, that front is actually probably going to dissolve a little bit because we do have some African dust that's coming west towards Florida, and that is going to try and suppress storm development. I don't think it's going to last all that long. You can see here by Tuesday, there's already thunderstorms ongoing in Florida again, so it's not going to last all that long. We also have this up in the northeast. Tuesday would be the next threat of thunderstorms up in the northeast after a quieter, drier weekend. The west coast, I know I didn't mention you that much. The west coast is not looking too bad, except it is going to continue to be hot in the west and continue to be hot in the south. And as we head late in the next week, our next big threat of severe weather would be the end of next week. Take a look at this here on the GFS. Yes, that's a possibility of severe storms in the northeast, and we could have a few MCS events in the plains next week. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. But look at this. You can see here, and I'm going to pull up 500 millibar. Troughing actually sets up in the northeast, so we're looking at potential for maybe some cooler than normal temperatures in the northeast. Let's take a look at the ECMWF, the European model. And you can see here, the European model is showing, yes, once again, look at that. It's very hot in the south. And something I do want you to take note of is look in the northeast this weekend. Not as hot, nicer conditions, less humid. It's not going to last. It's going to get a little more humid again as we head into next week, but at least Saturday and Sunday are looking fairly decent. The only threat for showers would be confined up to Maine, maybe northern New Hampshire. And look what happens on Monday. Monday's still not that bad. Tuesday, the humidity will increase there a little bit. And look in the south. Very hot, and unfortunately that heat in the south is actually going to build up into the Midwest, and it's going to get very hot in the Midwest. You can see here as we head into Thursday, 90s to even near 100 in the northern plains. Still not that bad in the northeast. However, from about New York City southward, it is going to get hot and humid yet again. But watch what happens here. Now we're into Thursday of next week. Yes, the heat's starting to build northward, and look what happens. It's Friday. Yes, 90s up into the northeast, and look at the Great Lakes. Very hot, and as we get to the end of this run, yes, it is very hot, even up into the Great Lakes. The heat starts to build northward with that ridge. I'll show that to you on 500 millibar. You can see, look at this. This ridge does get going, and much of the country under this ridge is going to be very hot. There's this interesting little character up here in Canada at the end of the European. That's something that will have to be watched. That could be a severe thunderstorm threat up in Canada. Maybe isolated tornadoes, but hey, that's over a week out. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer. Drum roll, please. Let's see the latest U.S. drought monitor update. Much of the Northeast, no drought concerns. Still a few over Pennsylvania. I think eventually we're going to get rid of that. And you can see here the map is showing parts of the Midwest region still drought concerns. And of course Texas. South Texas, unfortunately for you, it's going to get worse. How about days 1 through 7 precipitation? And you can see here we do have a precip maximum in the Northeast in the Poconos region of Northeast Pennsylvania. We also have another here in the High Plains and in the Southeast. So there are a few areas where there could be some flash flooding. Taking a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, much of the country above average. I think the second half of this may be overdone for the Northeast because temperatures are going to be down a little bit. At least the humidity will be a lot better. And taking a look here in the Pacific Northwest, slightly below average. And as we get to the 8 to 14 day range, much of the country is above average, near normal up in Maine and northern Vermont. Precipitation, slightly above average in the Northeast, slightly above average in the North Plains, below average in the South, below average in the West except for Pacific Northwest, and then the 8 to 14 day outlook shows a couple areas of above average precipitation in the Great Lakes and Northern Plains, below average in the South, below average in the Northwest. Alrighty, that does it for today's climate update, weather outlook. We will have another one again tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And if you know anyone who needs to see this content, by all means, share with your friends, family, or whoever needs to see this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.